Hey everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of All Bronze and No Brains. We've made it to episode 45, and if you're listening for a second or third time, then this technically isn't a brand new episode of All Bronze No Brains. So make sure to hit that bell icon so you get notified whenever we do post a new episode. While you're there, don't forget to hit the subscribe button or punch that like button. Or if you're on Spotify, why not tap down, shove it at the little 5 stars and go boom, 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 and give us 5 stars for a laugh. If sorry, this is our 20th time recording this introduction. But if you're brand new here, I'm Tony, your resident buff, and I'm joined by none other than the world's greatest Xander enthusiast, David Jackson.
Oh yes, big Zan fan. Big Zan fan. Hello everyone, and we are on Season 3, Episode 11, Gingerbread, written by Jane Espenson and directed by James Whitmore Jr.
Now, before we get into this episode, let's ask the important questions, David, that's on everyone's lips. Would you bring your man on patrol with you?
How exactly do you wake up in a coma?
And lastly, did I get it? Did I get it?
I'm never ready for that.
Why am I so good at doing it?
That's because that's what you've been saying at all those orgy parties you were at.
Did I get it?
Okay, we open up with the cold open, as always. Buffy's patrolling, which is always a good start, and her ma scares the absolute shit out of her with a big bag of lunch and a little flask. Who fucking uses a flask? Why do you need a flask in California? It's roasting.
My mum takes a flask out every weekend.
To
Malal, when her and my dad go to live.
Yeah, but it's Ireland, it's freezing. Anyway, she explains that she's there to see what Buffy gets up to, which I'm like, oh, look at her being a good mum. I like that we're continuing to see Joyce be good.
Yeah.
I guess if you tell your parents the truth and everything about your life, they may be better parents to you. Maybe. No. Sometimes they kick you out and you have to move in with your best friend. Lo and behold, bank manager Mr. Sanderson shows up to be a wee prick and have a wee scrap of Buffy with a really good vamp face. He runs away. Buffy tells Joyce to stay there, which I thought was a bit weird because, what if there's loads of vamps? And then she chases him, eventually beats him up and stabs him and stakes him, and he dies. But in the meantime, when she's doing that, Joyce goes for a wee dickety dander when she told her to fucking stay put. But anyway, Joyce is a bit rebellious like that, takes a wee dander into the play park and sees 2 little kids dead on the roundabout with these symbols in their hands that look almost like the unfinished pyramid of the Illuminati.
Thought it was a Deathly Hallows.
Oh yeah, could have been a Deathly Hallows. And then from there we get really sad for Joyce face and we roll to the credits.
I love that we're seeing Joyce wanting to bond. I think we've just had great character development from Joyce this season. And even though this episode, before you realise what's going on, could look like a backtrack, I thought it was a really smart way to also highlight the change. I love her exasperation acting when she's like, "It's Mr. Sanderson from the bank." I just love all of her. I just love when she acts like that. It's brilliant. I don't know if you noticed that there's public toilets behind them in that park, and I was like, 100% there's gay people in those toilets. 100%.
It's weird. I was listening to Gianmarco Cerezi had someone on his podcast there. He was mentioning he's from LA and they were talking about George Michael, how George Michael was caught in LA soliciting sex in a public toilet.
He was just cruising
by kicking the foot of a police officer who's in the next stall, but the police officer's undercover.
Oh, I don't feel like you should be allowed to be undercover to trick people. That's entrapment.
That's what he says on the podcast. Fair enough, you should give it a wee listen. It's just on his. I'll try and find the clip and send it to you. He says and I really thought this is so is there lots of gay sex happening in toilets, and the guy who's on is yeah, loads of it. He's I really think I should have walked into more gay sex happening. It's at least it doesn't happen at an airport. And he's it does happen at an airport.
Lots it happens. Oh yeah, yeah. I've in an airport toilet many a time.
His joke is he wants to run into toilets surprise to see if he can catch. I'm why does he want to? Gianmarco Cerezi, who's always I'm not gay, but why does he want to find the gay man having sex? But anyway, Gianmarco, maybe you can answer that for us, bitch. We see paramedics and police after the credits, which is the first time we ever see a CSI vibe or any sort of crime being investigated. Obviously, we know because of the mayor and that he keeps that shit under wraps, but obviously he couldn't do that when it comes to children being killed. I thought it was a little bit dark. It was a little bit it stayed a bit serious longer than I was expecting. And then even as we go through, we could see Joyce is visibly upset, and Buffy's explaining to her, like, it'll be sweet, calm down, like, people die all the time. And then you can almost see Buffy's like, why are you having such a problem with this? Which I'm now realizing is such good writing, because from very early on, the adults are obviously, it's affecting them
Yeah.
a lot more than it is the teenagers and children.
It also goes to show that just how used to maybe death and darkness that the gang have got, because they've seen it so much now. I know it's not like necessarily human, but because they're faced more with the idea of death all the time, I think it's less of a shock.
Yeah, totally agree. But I'm just so, but it made me think at the time, like, but when the vampires were running around, and did they just avoid children? Like, did they never? Anyway, neither here. You don't actually ever see even very many children turned, apart from that one wee kid at season 1 with the master.
Help me.
And then we get my favorite thing, and I think this must be a Gene Espenson thing. Buffy's like, it's okay, Mom, you can calm down. Don't tell me to calm down is the next scene that we have with Giles. Before I move on to that scene, anything to say about this opening after the credits?
Yes, I love that the police are just letting Buffy and her ma like hang out at the crime scene. Like, no tent, no nothing. From a photographer point of view, the lens that they have on the camera for taking those pictures wouldn't have been the lens that actually took those pictures, because there was too much of a variety of perspectives, and that was a prime lens. I finally figured out who Joyce reminds me of.
Okay.
Susan Sarandon.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. She's very much, yeah. She has that, like, timeless quality, but timelessly beautiful or something.
What did you say?
She has that, like, timeless quality, but timelessly beautiful or something.
I don't know if you noticed this, but after last week's walk in the snow, Buffy has her clattering back on, suggesting that her and Angel are back together.
I didn't notice that at all, no. That was a point in the right way, though. Maybe she's single again. She's pointing it out to get love.
It's pointing the other way. I want to get a clattering.
Clara.
Clara.
That's an easy one to do in the...
I've got a blood clatter.
I can't believe you laugh more at yourself, you prick.
But he's hilarious.
Okay, we cut the next scene with Buffy going, don't tell me to calm down. And she's actually pissed off. Giles is, as always, like, unsure. He's like, sometimes murders happen. And again, this is starting to bug me, where, like, why won't anyone believe Buffy? Like, she's always right. It's like, there's something weird happening. He's like, I don't know, Buffy, I think you're overthinking it. It's like, oh, she was right again. But anyway, she shows Giles that there's a symbol, which he isn't sure of where it comes from, but he thinks it could be a ritual murder, which invokes Buffy to be like,
Someone with a soul did this?
what's wrong, Buffy? You live in fucking California. You've never heard of murder? Is there not like a murder every 10 seconds in California?
It's maybe more the ritualisticness of it, you know, because of Netflix and streaming. All I know about is kid killers.
But that's what I, yeah. And I was like, she does know that, like, just bad humans exist. But I kind of, and it also gave me Harry Potter vibes. Because I just watched Harry Potter that evening, and I was like, oh, ripped the soul apart with that one and maybe stored it in a Horcrux.
Did you see the thing I sent you where it was like, why didn't Voldemort like act like a teenage girl? He literally like all his Horcruxes are things that like a teenage girl would pick.
Yeah, I did see that one. It was
It's
so
like
good.
the boy he likes, a piece of jewelry, his diary.
His diary was the one that I was like, oh yeah. But this is quite an interesting one, because then Judge is like, you know, well, she sort of explains, like, it doesn't matter about the Slayer rule of no killing, but no killing humans, I guess. No murder.
Yeah, she says, can we find a loophole in the Slayers don't kill people rule? And Giles looks so serious.
This is just, at this point, I was like, this is a good episode. I could figure out that obviously I will slobber and talk and blah, 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 but I really enjoyed this, up top, really enjoyed this episode. And I really liked the pacing of it. Thought it was really good, just like straight in, we were just moving right on. And I actually didn't catch the twist until it happened. I didn't figure it out before. I had a funny feeling, but I didn't know what it was.
It's not a really obvious twist until like we figure it out at the same time that they do, which is quite nice, which is we don't always get that. We always seem to know beforehand.
Yeah, I'll talk about why in later scenes what I was thinking as I was thinking it, as I was typing it. Anything from that little scene between Giles and Buster?
Just Cardigan Watch number 1.
I forgot about Cardigan Watch. She really does. Just a lot of pink cardigans. I've noticed now. It's a lot of pink cardigans. Obviously, with that juxtaposition between Faith and her, as you've said many a time. We cut to Oz and Xander having a random strained interaction at lunch where they grab this really stinking looking burrito.
Yeah.
It's real floppy. Looks like your wee Willie after you get out of the bath.
Okay.
And you can see that like Xander is still intimidated by Oz, and Oz kind of has that nonplussed blank expression that he always has, which is like very hard to read. But I really like. He seems a bit like. I got the impression he was like, "Why is Xander getting on like this?"
I like that. I think this was their version of making up.
I get that. I get that feeling too. Yeah, that's really good because like fellas are a bit.
It's like you go back to normal to almost to sit, just to show that you're not holding on to anything like from before. That's one of, I think, men's greatest tools in letting you know that you're not fighting or there's no problems. It's just if you act. That's how I know. Even for us, sometimes I know if I'm worried that maybe if we're strained over something, if the next interaction is completely normal, then I'm not worried anymore that you're annoyed at me.
Yeah, I don't hold annoyances anymore. I can't be arsed with two old babes and two old babes. Or maybe I'm just annoyed the whole time.
Probably. But before you go on to say about Amy's mum haircut,
Who?
I think that she looks so good.
Let's get there. The next part of this scene, we see Xander and Oz sit down at a table with Willow and must be a new girl.
Amy.
We have Amy as well with her wee mum haircut. That's awful looking. It's clearly a shit wig too.
It's not. It's her real hair and it's gorgeous.
Okay. Buffy arrives.
You guys didn't hear?
Hear what?
A murder. Somebody killed 2 little kids.
Oh, no.
They were like 7 or 8 years old. My mom found the bodies during patrol last night.
As she's saying, Mum is wigging out. Joyce shows up and's like, "Who's wigging out?" I'm like, does she just appear everywhere?
Buffy, have you talked to Mr. Giles yet about who could have done this?
He thinks it might be something ritual. A cult. But he's still looking.
A cult. Like witches.
Sorry, phlegm, too much dairy.
And there's also a bit of like Willow saying basically her mass shit. She says it in such a flippant way that's kind of normal and makes me a wee bit sad for Willow.
When Buffy says about her mum coming on patrol, Willow's like, God, your mum would actually take the time to do that with you.
And it's quite a nice way of they're flagging the differences between the mothers. And obviously we're going to, whenever we get introduced to Sheila later on, like, oh, you know, they're putting the Jane Espenson is putting the work in now to set that, because we've not really heard of her mum or dad before, really.
No, not really. They're kind of very absent, which I think lends itself to kind of the joke. But also the fact that Willow and Buffy are complaining about their mas in front of Amy, whose ma stole her body and is now trapped inside of a cheerleading statue. I thought it was just a missed opportunity for like a good joke.
Anything to mention of that little scene at the diner?
Cafeteria.
Yes, I like the awkwardness that there is when Xander's like trying to, when he's like, has anyone seen Willow? And he's like, oh no, sir, not with me. Like, this is a side of Xander I feel like we're starting to see now, where it's like he's genuinely not trying to say the wrong thing or joke. I think he's trying to genuinely, like, at least in this moment, like, be sincere. And I love that Oz is so empathetic towards him that he doesn't say anything bad, or he just looks at him and then goes back to like normal conversation, which I just thought that was great.
And I think even just as a whole, like throughout this whole episode, Jane Espenson is very good at writing Xander from a sympathetic point of view, or an empathetic, maybe not sympathetic, but an empathetic point of view. Like there's even some parts that I'm like, he's made a good point there. And even when he does joke, I actually think his jokes are funny in this. Like when he does cut the tension at times.
He's better written in this episode.
Especially going from the previous one where he was such a cunt.
I think he's just written better by women, because women understand like the nuances in having a male as a friend are different from a woman's perspective than what they are from a man's. Joss obviously, I think, really writes him as this kind of like lecherous, I deserve women kind of person, and the women really write him as like a not perfect,
misunderstood, awkward, uses humor to cut the tension because he doesn't have emotional capacity to deal with what's going on.
Yeah. Very redeemable in a lot of ways.
100%. So we move into the corridor with Joyce and Buffy, who is absolutely scundered that her ma's at school, which I really like that she's being kind of told off, being like, she says something like, I like to keep my school life and home life separate. Joyce explains she called everyone in town to have a vigil at City Hall, and Buffy's face, and she's like, called everybody in town.
Well, I'm sure there won't be all that many people.
This is great. Maybe we could all go patrolling together later.
It was such a nice scene. I'm really enjoying just seeing Buffy interact as a normal teenager with her mum, and it's not always about doom and gloom and the end of the world. She's actually like, yeah, I get it about the kids, but like, don't fucking show up to school. I'm scundered. You're my ma.
I like that Joyce actually says to her, like, are you embarrassed to be hanging out with your mother? I didn't hug you. Which I thought was great.
That was great. That's a really great line, and it's really throwaway now you've said it, but it's a really great line because it sort of implies there's history there. Like she's been told,
Yeah.
like, don't hug me, and it's like just that like I didn't hug you is such a very. I think Jane Espenson might be my favorite writer so far.
This director, James Whitmore Jr. as well, like I really, really enjoy him. He did I Only Have Eyes for You and Beauty and the Beast, which we both like. And in this episode, we've already seen the tableau of the dead children in Beauty and the Beast. We saw the tableau of at the end of the dead people, like lying on the ground.
Yes,
He's
that's
very,
right.
very good at framing, and he does these great, almost like
Handheld.
documentary-ish, like
Handheld cam?
shots that they really get you in there with the characters. You feel like you're in the Antissa person.
And I actually really liked the overhead shot that he took at the beginning of after the credits. I meant to say that, like the shot you have the police taking the thing, that felt like you were watching like ER, or because ER used that
Yeah.
overhead shot quite a lot. And I think James Whitmore Jr. did a lot of episodic TV.
Before we move on to City Hall, can I talk about a poster that was hanging in the hallway in the background behind Buffy and Joyce?
Yeah, of course.
There's a poster behind Buffy saying, "Get high, get stupid, get AIDS."
What?
It was part of a PSA that was aimed at teenagers that ran from 1988 to 1997. And it basically was propaganda that if you use drugs and alcohol, it would impair your judgment, which would lead to risky sexual behavior. And it kind of led to a lot of misinformation and increased stigma around HIV and AIDS.
I had no idea. Like, as in, is the risk that you're going to have sorry to be ignorant here, but is the risk that you're going to have gay sex or unprotected sex and HIV? Is this a time when could you explain a little bit more? Do you have any more context? Or
Yeah, risky sexual behavior, anything that could lead to AIDS could be unprotected sex. It wouldn't necessarily have to be gay, but it could also be like other behaviors, like you might, because it lowers your inhibitions, you could also then like do drugs or share needles or anything like that, because that's when we kind of use stigma-based education and not science-based education. And nowadays, obviously, we use science-based education that doesn't emphasize morality or discriminate. Because I've had some conversations recently in my life where people maybe didn't understand certain things about HIV or AIDS, so I thought I could maybe share some current public health information
yes,
about
please.
it, if that's
Genuinely,
okay.
yes, please.
So I don't know if you've heard of U equals U, which is undetectable equals untransmittable. So if you are HIV undetectable, you cannot transmit HIV.
Oh,
So that's like with modern antiretroviral therapy, people with HIV can live completely long, healthy lives. You reduce your viral load to an undetectable level where your virus can't be sexually transmitted at all.
I was listening to the video the other day when I was driving. It was like 2 or 3 days ago, and there's now HIV action. The UK. This is HIV Action Plan 2025 to 2030. It sets out how the government will enable every level of the healthcare system to work together to engage everyone in prevention, testing, and treatment, tackle stigma, and reach our ambition to end new HIV transmissions by 2030. Which is class. Like, it's so interesting
Yeah.
you're talking about this. This was only announced a couple of days ago by the British government that they by 2030 they want there to be no new HIV transmissions, and that's due to like the giving people the correct drugs so that it's non-transmissible. Even if they do have sex or unprotected sex, it's not going to cause any. That's so fascinating. Thank you for bringing this up. That is mental. That's on a poster in the background of like a teenagers / young adults TV program.
But that's who it would have been aimed at the time, that
Yeah,
campaign.
of course, yeah. But it's still fucking mental. Thank you for that info. I hope that has helped some people. I didn't know about that. I didn't know about if you take the sorry, I can't remember the word, the antiretroviral drugs.
U equals U. Undetectable equals untransmissible.
That has blown my mind. That shows my ignorance that the education I haven't got to me. I didn't know that. So we get that cool, like, there won't be that many people there. The edit joke, which I enjoy, to a very busy full city hall with all of these little white boomers, majority, who are very raging about everything that's going on in the world, only specifically about that one thing. No one has an issue with the vampires. Anyway, and this is where we get to meet Willow's mum, Sheila Rosenberg, for the first time.
Is she Jewish?
I mean, they've stereotyped her to being Jewish because she's a psychiatrist, which is always like
I
the
wasn't
most
sure what she was
stereotypical thing.
actually, if she was like an intellectual or something.
I think she's a psychiatrist because she says she's written papers, and like I get the
Yeah.
impression that she's like a child psychiatrist or something like that. So she's trying to raise her child with logic and not with emotion and love, and which is the impression that I get from her. And she immediately calls Buffy Bunny, which I thought was fucking hilarious. No one
Yeah.
ever gets Buffy's name wrong, and it's such a little mum dig to like the friend
Yeah.
that your mum hates. Like whenever Moyne used to forget like Melissa's name and call it, or if anyone had a Catholic name, it was just completely misspoken. She called Kira's name wrong for years.
My mum with Azaria. Now, it's not because my mum didn't like Azaria, but my mum just couldn't fathom that there was someone called Azaria, so she used to call it Exaria, Enzaria, Saranthia. Like,
Ex-Aria, like ex-Tina.
yeah, like Terabithia,
Psoriasis.
psoriasis. Yeah, my mum's just so bad with names that Azaria was, she always found it quite funny that my
But
mum
it's like,
called her
she
different
knows
names.
she probably has loads of nieces and nephews called like Jamie Ann Lee. I was like, that's a harder thing to get out of your mouth than it is fucking Azaria. Anyway.
No, it's
I do-
not.
Yeah, it
Jamie Ann
is.
Lee. No, it's not.
Well, it's been a while.
Right. Not for a while.
Yes, so we get like the Giles and Joyce interact with tension, and the tension is absolutely rife. There's more talk of witches being the problem, and then Willow's mum talks of like it being rebelling, like it's just a form of like she has that's like, it's just a way of teenagers rebel, like a subculture
Yeah.
essentially, which is
Yeah. She says it's actually not that abnormal. Like, I've been doing a lot of research recently and blah, blah, blah.
And then from that little interaction, which I thought, I really think the actor that plays Sheila is so good, like, because I've really, really believed her.
Yeah. Can I just interject with about that actress? Sheila is played by Jordan Baker, who has been in nearly everything under the sun. You ready for this list? Fraser, Quantum Leap, Touched by an Angel, NYPD Blue, Ally McBeal, The OC, Gilmore Girls, Medium, Ugly Betty, Law and Order, Madam Secretary, The Americans, The Good Wife, Bull, and The West Wing as Dr. Cynthia Seals.
What episode of The West Wing?
Something about an emergency.
Someone that's going to emergency, someone's going to jail.
Yeah, yeah.
She's got such a cool demeanor. Like, she's so believable as a bad mum.
Well, actually, not that strange. I recently co-authored a paper about the rise of mysticism among adolescents, and I was shocked at the statistical... are we starting?
The mayor makes a really good speech. We know the background, so then you can see the performance aspect of him being the politician that needs to keep their attention, especially when he holds up the sign and is like, never again. And it's like, oh yeah, he's very good, because they know they're just going to cut that, and it doesn't matter if it's really awkward and out of place in the speech, because anyway, I thought it was all fucking class. And then this is all just before Joyce gets up and makes her absolutely enormous speech when she's supposed to do a minute's silence. She's like, actually, let me just throw my daughter under the bus here and talk about how there's slayers and disappearances and neck ruptures. And then I just wrote, she chooses not to be silent. Classic boomer. Just classic boomer behavior. Let me go and make a speech about how the previous generation are the worst generation. Fucking classic boomer. Thought it was brilliant, and I love the shock faces. Even Giles is going like, oh, she's like giving away all the secrets, and it's like, again, I just thought it was brilliant. Really like this scene. Any words for me, Tony, on this little scene?
Yes, I love that this is the first time that any of the gang are in the same space as the mayor. and obviously we have context of who the mayor is, but nobody else does yet. I just like that kind of that tension that is there. Like they don't know
Yeah.
really who he is. Why is there a big massive Emmy statue at like the front of the room? There's like a big massive like a person with like wings. It looks like it's a double of an Emmy statue just at the front of the room. And there are a lot of old white women in Sunnydale, which makes a lot of sense as to why so many things just don't get dealt with. I feel like it just makes when you see that room full of people, you're like, oh.
There are real racists in this town.
The awkwardness between Giles and Joyce, yeah, I loved, and I loved whenever Sheila starts talking about something else, and she's like, "There's a rumor going around, Mr. Giles," and Giles is like, "A rumor about us?"
Yeah, I thought that was
Which I thought was great.
that was good.
I was a bit, I like, why are there no seats? I feel like this would be a seated event. That was just something that bothered me.
Yeah, I agree. Never thought of it. That's a good point.
Is it though?
And I just love Joyce's whopper of a speech because technically she's not wrong.
Yeah, she's right. That's what makes it really good.
Yeah, and I like that this is where we start to see the birth of like the mob mentality, which like I love kind of films that like deal with that. I think that's something that's very relevant to today's like culture as well. So I love that we can see that for the best of intentions, we can see how things can go horribly wrong.
Well, it's just cancel culture. It's the same as like cancel culture. It's like, well, do enough of us all agree that this isn't good? Okay, let's cancel it immediately instead of just disagreeing with it. I fundamentally don't agree with cancel culture, even if I disagree with the person wholeheartedly. I think there should be, if you cancel them, then they go quiet and go into a corner, and then the people who actually agreed with them fuck off into the corner instead of staying in the public to be like,
Giving someone the opportunity to learn.
yeah, or not like shamed. They just need to be like, yeah, almost shamed in a way, but not in a cancel culture way. I think it's like saying you can't speak isn't the same as
Yeah.
saying that what you're saying is completely fundamentally wrong and disgusting.
I think if there's no opportunity for like rehabilitation for of like what people have said, or for a chance to come back and either apologize or say what they did wrong, then it's like, then what is the point
Yeah.
of it? I understand it's important for people to like to speak up against people that are saying harmful, divisive things, and I think some people shouldn't have platforms to share those things. However, I think if people do then learn and change, that we should
Accept that.
kind of embrace that as well.
I don't count things like Twitter and YouTube and those things. They're private companies. I think deplatforming people is not the same as free speech. You should give, I think, like, you don't have a right to be on YouTube. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is a private company that is, well, it's a publicly limited company, but it's not, this is social media is a brand new thing. It's only been around for like 15, 20 years. It's not less, I think. And people are like, it is my fundamental right. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. There's loads of places where you can't just walk in and say words and say things that you want without any retribution. I just feel like people thinking they deserve, they like have a right to be on certain things. Like, but this belongs to a company that have a set of standards, and I'm like, I hate that. Maybe that's not quite. I don't know what the law is there, so maybe someone can correct me if I'm wrong. Please do. Again, it's just a wee podcast. Don't crack up or anything. But I'd love you to try and cancel me because I'd love to see what would happen. Because I don't really care.
You don't care, but I care.
So say the N word. Knockers.
Knockers didn't even begin with the end. Right, see, whenever Sheila calls Buffy Bunny, I just like, I love that awkwardness about. Have you ever had where someone's called you the wrong name and you felt like too awkward to correct them because it's just easier to be called by the name? Well, that happened to me in Switzerland, and it was like in the first week, and it's a girl called Esty, and she thought my name was Toby, because I'm like, oh, Tony. So she called me Toby. So I just let her call me Toby, but then she started introducing me to people as Toby. So then I eventually had to correct her, but she called me Toby all summer. But then would like laugh about it. She was like, Toby, ha, and I'd be like, but people call me Toby now because you joke about this, fuck bitch. But
Fat bitch?
no
Fat.
fucking bitch.
Oh, right.
No,
Sorry. I was like,
no, you'd love her. She's lovely. Hi, Esty, if you're listening. I'll see you this summer. Love you, baby.
does she laudit things? Is she an SD laudit?
Stop, David. Stop!
Yes, if I say Dave, sometimes people say, Steve? I'm like, Yeah,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
close enough. It's same. Dave, Steve. Mm-hmm.
It's like Dave with a PH.
Dave. After the, I'm sorry, have you got more to say?
No.
After this, we get a little short scene, a very short little wordless scene before the break hits, and it's where we see Amanda, Tony, and Willow. I'm in here. You used to always have your nails done, and I wasn't even thinking of your sister Amanda. It was because of her. I have changed the name of Amy. I'm just going to say Amy from now on. The joke's gone.
Yeah.
But I did.
Although Amanda
genuinely-
did have that haircut.
Oh, she
I
did have
wonder if
that
that's
haircut.
why.
And then the guy, what's his name? I called him Tony for the rest of this.
Michael.
Michael really reminded me of you in school. You had like your little like.
He was gorgeous.
You had like a wee gothy, like you had like wee. I think it was the time were you a bit of an emo at one point?
Yeah, I was, yeah.
Or you wouldn't have maybe listened to emo music, but I think you were like, oh no, you did. It was like around the Numinous time.
Numinous and Avril Lavigne.
And yes, and you were like an emo Christian.
Yeah, I was an emo Christian.
That's what it was. So you'd like have gloveless things and have
We're
multicolored
back,
like.
baby. We're back.
And then this is where we cut to a break, which I would love to right now go to a break. If we had a break, but we don't. So if you would like us to promote anything. Sorry, I didn't actually say. Amy, Tony, and Willow doing an incantation, and then whenever the camera, again, this overhead shot that he's really fond of,
Yes.
which I like because it gives real depth to the room. We see the symbol for that is drawn on the children's hands, and I was
Yep.
like, I actually went, oh fuck, as well. Bad. This really, because I
Yeah.
haven't seen this episode before, really threw me asunder.
Oh. Willow starts reading Tales of Beetle the Bard.
Why are you all Harry Potter today?
I don't know. I love the score in this scene because, like you said, there's no words, but the score does a really important job of like the
Tension.
kind of the tension and the lifting, and it's quite good at manipulating the audience into thinking about the perception of what's going on.
That's
which
why I thought
think
it
is-
was true, because the music usually tells you the truth of the scene. Do you know, like music usually
Yeah.
gives you an indication of what's facts. I thought, you little bastards.
And I think this is where we get the first point. Like, this is where the episode starts pointing in the direction of like the satanic panic. We see that like the children get weaponized, hysteria escalates, nuance vanishes, and scapegoats are created, and then extreme solutions are justified. And I thought, okay, wow, that totally does really go along with like things
In-
today and this episode. Because I think it's funny, it really applies so much to today, as like what you're talking about, cancel culture and like online outrages as well. Like fear gets laundered into righteous action.
So smart.
We open up to Michael, who is checking himself out in his mirror, and loads of boys rock up to threaten to beat him up because obviously they've heard from their parents about the witches. So then kids go into school and repeat all the things that their parents have said, which is quite interesting.
Hey, what is your problem?
Everyone knows he's into that voodoo witch crap. I heard about those kids. People like him gotta learn a lesson.
And what about people like me?
Get in my face and you'll find out.
They're actually intimidated by Buffy, so do they know that Buffy's hard as fuck?
Yeah, because if you think about all the stuff that's went on in the school,
Oh, I know, but it's just, that's the first time I've realised that, like,
Other
it's
people.
known that she's tough, that she can beat the tripe out of people, because they're, like, genuinely, like, fix them and stuff.
and I love that if you look at the side version of this scene where you see all the bullies from the side, they all have giant hoop earrings in, or like diamond earrings. So I'm like,
In the left or right,
in the left,
that's gay.
they're the gayest looking group of bullies ever. And that just reminded me of like a scene from like the new Stranger Things where it's like the bullies are like approaching the guy. I'll have to put it in here, but they're like, hey, what you doing? What you doing? And one of them's like, hey, yeah.
Hey there, freak. Long time no see.
Hiya.
Do you remember that when we were younger? Like, what you getting pierced? It's like, oh, what do you mean? It's like, one's your gay ear.
I don't remember that.
That's a talk one thing then. Because you used to always, like, whenever you're like 8 or 9, your sister or your cousin would take you to get your ears pierced. And it was like, poof, and I had my right ear done.
8 or 9 months.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't, but you were.
Yeah, I was like very young.
Girls would have had their ears done by like 1 or 2.
I had mine done quite young too.
Anyway.
Fruit.
We have a little small interaction with Cordelia, which is really nice to see her back in her like
Bitch mode.
witty repartee way, yeah. And she like, ugh, it just made me realize I love her and I kind of miss Cordelia, which is great that we got more of her. I wrote this before I'd seen the rest of the episode. Remember that she's in it for ages later on, and she like slags off Buffy and the gang, and then she turns around and makes sure that she understands what she was saying is specifically about her and the gang and how terrible they are. And I just really loved that, like, oh my god, did I get you? No, like it reminds me of like the bully from Not Another Teen Movie.
Look at that. Oh my god. You're not gonna cry now, are you?
Oh my god.
Look at that.
And in Giles informs Buffy it was witches and that he needs the book that Willow had borrowed because it's got the symbol in it, which is obviously we know a little bit more than him. What do you think about that scene?
First of all, I think that wee Michael looks lovely.
He does.
And I love that Amy like stands up for her friend. She's like, well, what about people like me? And it's not in a way of like trying to use her power. It's more just she's using her goodness as like
Yeah.
a person. That I love. Then that's just like when Buffy comes in and does the same thing. I just think that's
so beautiful when she comes in that scene too. The,
Yeah,
the way they've
she's
lit her and
gorgeous.
stuff, it's like she's very beautiful.
Cordelia, I think, is unnecessarily mean, but I think this is meant to like emphasize that the mob mentality is starting to hit people. When she says like to Buffy, like, I doubt your doubt. You know, everyone knows that witches did this and that Amy's a witch and Michael's a witch besides being the poster child for yuck. Although she does say whatever the boy version of witch is, as if no one knows. I'm like, warlock. When Cordelia calls him the poster child for yuck, I just think that I took that in a homophobic way.
I thought that too. I always feel like it is because yeah, I get the homophobic vibes.
And Cordelia does clear, like, she's got a grudge. She's still living out her grudge, which for me, I'm like, it's part of her storyline for the season.
Oh, I get the feeling like she kind of missed him.
Definitely not.
I was getting the feeling like I was maybe reading a little bit onto underplaying like,
oh, I hate being with you, but because I miss you and I want to be your friend.
That's what I was thinking of, but maybe you know more about the story than I do for the rest of the season. But in this little part, I was like, because even later on, like we know the first person she goes to whenever shit starts getting real is the gang. She goes to Giles.
Only because it then impacts her personally in a selfish way.
But she's always been selfish.
Oh, well, that just makes it okay then, doesn't it?
Maybe I'm obviously reading too much into it. It's not there. It's okay.
You are.
Okay. Thank you. That's good to know. So we move on to the next scene.
Buffy, hi.
Hey, is Willow around?
How can I convince you people that it's over? You assume because I am here, she's here, that I somehow mysteriously know where she is.
Those her books?
Yeah, she's in the bathroom.
And Xander gets like really defensive, and then he says this line.
But I'm talking about the future guilt. Look, everyone expects me to mess up again.
Therefore, I'm having to be guilty for everything in the future. You'd sent me a message about this before I'd even watched the episode. When I seen that line, I was like, that is such bloody great writing, because that's a really good point. Like, when does he get to grow? When does he get to learn if we're all going to assume that he's going to fuck up again? And I really, really like that. Thought it was really good writing. Jean does a great job of making me understand Xander a bit better. Gives a bit more nuance, a bit more depth to his character. Actual growth, which is nice to see coming from Xander. I hope it sticks and doesn't suddenly just fall by the wayside whenever Buffy's half naked at one point and he sees an opportunity to get off with her. Because I feel like if Buffy for 1 second even showed a bit of interest in Xander, he'd be all over like white on rice, which is one of my favourite sayings. Buffy sees the symbol on Willow's book and explains that that's the exact same symbol on the kid's hands. And you're sort of feeling this like, oh right, Willow has no idea because she hasn't seen the symbol that's on the kid's hands. And then we hear about the police coming, and then we move on to the next scene. Anything that's happening there with Xander and Willow and Buffy and that little bit.
I like when Xander says he's guilty and Buffy just outright tells him, you are guilty. Like, you got illicit smoochies and now you've got to pay the price. And I don't think Xander's actually annoyed by Buffy saying that. I think it's a lot more nuanced, like what you said. And it's wrapped up in him wanting Oz to forgive him because he keeps referencing Oz. You know, he says about how it's like more of a verbal, non-verbal, which kind of helps me respect Xander a bit more. Like, he obviously wants forgiveness and he doesn't necessarily know the best way to go about it. But I think if someone shows that they do genuinely want forgiveness, I think that's kind of like an admirable thing. And I think it's kind of nice to see that he's needing validation from Oz, and that's really hard for a character like Oz to give because he's so stoic. So that's why I love that they have their little team up like later on in the episode. When Buffy sees Willow and the doodle, and Willow says that great line, "A doodle, I do doodle, you too, you do doodle too." I thought that was a great line.
Say it again.
A doodle, I do doodle, you too, you do doodle too.
I didn't
I
catch
was just,
that. No.
that was such a great line. Why does Buffy literally scream at her best mate like, "This was the symbol of the murdered children"? Like in front of the entire school. Like, calm the fuck down, Buffy.
Because she's still caught up in the hysteria.
Yeah. Well, that's it. It's the birth of hysteria. The witch hunt is now starting to become literal. Oh my god.
Literal, which I thought was cool. We hear the police arrive, and it turns out they're checking the pupils' lockers. Willow and the witches are scared because they have all this mad shit. Like, Willow starts pointing out she has like hemlock and like root of this and the fucking eye of whatever. And then Cordelia, I love whenever they go into Cordelia's one and they take out this hairspray. And it's like, oh my god, that's my hairspray. And she's like, I have a $45 hairspray.
Hairspray. She's like, it's imported.
$45 in the 1999 is like
$87.50.
So a $90 hairspray.
That bitch is crazy.
Here, comment below if you have a $90 hairspray because you got too much money in your hands and maybe you should join our Patreon.
Oh my god, yeah. Mine's £8 and I have to scrape together change to be able to afford it.
Willow explains it's a protection spell whenever, like, obviously her and, like, because Buffy's freaking out about the fact that this is the thing that was on the kid's hands. And, like, it was for her birthday. Oh, I've ruined your birthday now and maybe it won't work now, I've told you, which I thought was really... I just love that Willow goes off.
No, but that's the thing. Like, the spell won't work because she's told her about it.
Interesting.
There's a lot of spells that are like that. If you do like spell bags or protection spells that you would maybe keep around your house, if someone sees it, it invalidates the spell. Like, because you're meant to keep
Interesting.
it away.
Never knew that. And then this is where my favorite character in all of this series, genuinely is my favorite character, maybe just my favorite actor. Snyder comes in with the smuggest of smug looks, and his whole energy in this whole bit is fucking brilliant because he says some great stuff. He makes a good point in saying like, oh, let's have a look at some of these books. And I'm like, oh, you've got him here. And he's like, blood rights and sacrifices.
Chess club branching out.
That's what it is. This is where we hear the worst acronym MOO for the first time, and it's mothers opposed to the occult, and it's like, who came up with that? And his line as he walks out with that smug, because he just reminds me of a sassy drag queen or something, or like a sassy gay best friend. He's like, he's so camp, but like fucking great. He's just like, I believe you call her mom, and like walks out or something. And I love him. I think he chews. He's a real scenery chewer. When he shows up, he really like. I think he's amazing. How do you find these couple of scenes?
I love the whole locker search scene. There's a lot of handheld camera, which I think adds to like the franticness of the scene and gets you in there with the students. Snyder has that great line, no pathetic whining about student rights. I just thought it was quite funny. When we get into the library, Giles calls Snyder a twisted little homunculus, which I loved. And in mythology, a homunculus was a miniature, full-formed human believed to be created through artificial means. But it's also a scientific diagram that represents what humans would look like if our sensory areas grew in proportion with how much we use them.
Our what?
Our sensory areas. So it's got like big ears and big mouth and like massive
big
hands.
Yes, that's right. I've seen that before.
And like a big mad bell end.
What?
It does have a big mad bell end on it. Snyder calls Giles fierce. Slay Hunty, the housebound boots work mama.
Lift a finger against me and you'll have to answer to Moo.
Answer to Moo? Did that sentence just make some sense that I'm not in on?
Mothers opposed to the occult. A powerful new group.
And who came up with that lame name?
That would be the founder. I believe you call her Mom.
And I love that this is like their little, for me, it's like their take on like Mumsnet. You know, like that Mumsnet, that website. It's obviously like, I think meant to be more a direct ripoff of MAD, which was Mothers Against Drunk Driving in America.
The next scene, we're at the Rosenbergs with Willow's mom playing with her candles that she found in Willow's room, which I find so like, she's just like, ugh. And her mom is just so patronizing this whole time about her witchery. And and that it's all just rebellion, and it's just that like completely negating her feelings, and it's like as all teenagers just want to be listened to and believed, and it's like just just gave me Joyce season 1 vibes is what I've written here. She tells, and then she goes through all this stuff, and Willow's like, no, I am actually really good at this, like I am a witch or whatever, and then she tells her that she's grounded even after Willow explains that she is a proper witch. And then the scene builds to Willow calling upon Beelzebub and the Satan essentially, and like her there was like loads of stuff she kept like sort of saying that I didn't get a chance to write down completely, but I knew you were going to come in with them all, I'm sure, in a second.
I worship Beelzebub. I do his biddings. Do you see any goats around? No, because I sacrifice
please.
them. All bow before Satan.
I'm not listening to this.
Prince of Night, I summon you. Come fill me with your black, naughty evil.
That's enough.
She explains she can summon the 4 elements, well, 2 of them, and that she's dating a musician.
Oh, Willow.
That gets a much bigger response, and it's like it's such a so good. As a musician, I felt that. I know every parent that any person I've ever dated is like, so what's he do? He's like, he's a singer. It's like, oh, for fuck.
There's something about Sheila that reminds me of Shona.
Yeah, it's the calmness.
Oh, her house just looks very Christian.
Yes, it feels like that, even though she's Jewish.
And when Sheila says this is obviously just a cry for discipline, and she's like, you're grounded. As if it's like, and Willow's clearly never been grounded before.
Yeah, this is my first time. This is my first time doing anything wrong, and you're grounding me. And I think you've jumped ahead, and then this is when we get like a bit of Willow cracking up and rebelling even more to her mum, which I kind of loved. But it's also like, and I've sort of, I just thought this scene, it is funny the way Willow's getting on, but it just is sad.
You will not speak to Bunny Summers again.
I don't want you seeing that Willow anymore.
And it's nice that we get the little juxtaposition that Joyce is still being Joyce and she's caught up in the hysteria, but at least she knows Willow's name.
I like that direct comparison between Sheila and Joyce, because I feel like Sheila is like a paragon of like performative liberalism, whereas Joyce is actually really doing it. Yeah, clock that, T, sis.
Very good. I did like that. That was very good.
I love when you clock that, T.
That was nice. I like that. I don't know what this means.
I'm an ally.
We learn more about the fact that it's Joyce who is, we do know that she is the founder of Moo, but that she's behind the raid at the school and that the books will mostly be returned. She knows that they need the books because they literally stopped the world from ending. And like, she knows that this is necessary. This is where I'm starting to be like, I was getting really frustrated at this. I could feel frustration in me to be like, but she knows. This is so fucking annoying. Why is she getting on like this? I didn't fucking know. She makes a point of saying how, even with the slaying, is Sunnydale even any better? Are there even any fewer vamps? And she says Buffy just reacts, no plans, and this properly triggers Buffy. And this is a point where, again, Jane Espenson is doing a really good job of not having fundamental arguments that are black and white. Thank God for that scene, because we get a fucking great scene with Angel and Buffy later on to resolve that argument, which I loved.
And maybe next time that the world is getting sucked into hell, I won't be able to stop it because the anti-hell sucking book isn't on the approved reading list.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put down...
Yeah, well, you did.
And then she walks out, not before slabbering about this shite name, but the way she says, like,
nice acronym, Mom.
Nice acronym, Mom. And it's like she walks out. Something the way she does it feels so teenager and good. And then before the scene ends, we see the 2 dead children chatting to Joyce, and she is sincere in seeing them.
And we can't sleep.
Not until you hurt them.
Again, didn't know what the fuck was going on. Thought it was great because it goes to the break. And I'm like, I obviously know there's something going on. I didn't know what it was.
I see dead people.
Really cool scene with Buffy and her mum. What do you think?
I just love that reveal of the kids, like you said, because I thought even just the direction of like her walking past and then being there and then being like, you need to kill the bag. And it was just creepy because they're dead kids.
The kids aren't played as creepy to me. They look sincerely like...
No, I just think dead kids in general are creepy.
Oh, well, of course, like pedophobia is like a thing. That's why they're always used in like...
I know, let's not say pedophobia. It just sounds too much like pedophile.
That's what it's called.
I know, but I'll just say I'm scared of those kids.
There's no other word for it.
There is.
Pedophobia. What's the other word?
I can say I'm scared of kids without needing to call it pedophobia.
But there's a word for it. It's called pedophobia.
You don't call everything you're afraid of by its official phobia name?
I would try if I could. If I did, I would. Call me up on it next time.
You're such a dick.
Anyway, we return after the break to the roundabout where the children were found. And then we have a little thing I caught here with a really badly out of focus shot on Buffy and Angel. But it was so bad out of focus that it threw me away from the scene for a wee second, and thank God for some great bloody acting. Angel comes in and says that people are even talking to him about the murders, and he says it's strange as people die a lot, but it's probably the innocence of kids. Buffy opens up to Angel about what Joyce said, and then she uses the analogy of her being a slayer as the boy in the duck.
Yeah, the boy stuck his finger in the duck.
Yeah, and then he says dyke as a great little joke. He's like, it's another word for damn. And it's like, I really loved that little simple, gentle, beautiful explanation from David Boreanaz as Angel. But his delivery of it is so sweet. And Angel reassures her that it isn't about winning, it's about the fight. And the fight will never be won, and you fight because it's good to fight. And I just really like that. Like,
That's his lesson from last week.
yeah.
That Buffy taught him.
Fuck, I didn't see that. My God, Tony, very good. And then that triggers Buffy into I know what it is. And that was really cool that when he's referring to the children's parents, that triggers a thought to her. I just really enjoyed this conversation between the two of them. The point that he was making was like, you have to fight. It's not about winning. There is no winning. Good and bad will always be good and bad until forever, never, never.
Buffy asks Angel directly the question, is Sunnydale any better than when I first came here? And that's like a direct response to last week's episode, obviously, which was The Wish, where we saw what Sunnydale would be like if Buffy had never come. So I kind of like that Buffy doesn't know just how much the impact of her being
Her
there.
just existing there is.
And like I just then said before as well, like I like that Angel is now the one reiterating the lesson that he got from Buffy last week. But I think it's really great that he reiterates that, like what you said, it's important to keep fighting, not fighting for the win, but fighting because there are things worth fighting for, like those kids and those kids' parents. And then that's what leads Buffy on to the big idea.
Yeah. At which point we cut to the library with Giles fighting with a computer and snacking. Snacking in a very interestingly British way because he doesn't put his whole hand into the bag of crisps. He does 2 fingers in and eats like this, which is the way I eat crisps. Never with my whole hand because my hand would be full of crisp stinking grease dust. Just a small little thing I noticed. He goes in and eats 2 fingers.
Have to practice that.
You never use 2 fingers. You go full fist into every fella.
At that point, I will become frightened.
Take heart, we found your books.
We can put the heart back. We can't get them. They're locked up in City Hall. Frisky Watchers chat room. Why, Giles? Oh, Buffy, Oz and I found out.
What do we know about these kids?
And I quite like now that we get Xander and Oz are just together this rest of this episode. And
yeah,
like a little buddy cop. Like, even though they are useless, Oz is a little bit useful at some bits. Buffy enters all inspired, asking them who are the parents, where are the children from, what are their names. And then this is when I only realized that I didn't know any of that information either. I am even part of the mob because even me as a viewer fully accepted their children, doesn't matter about any more of the information. And then we get a cool little montage, and I really enjoy that we get to see them work things out now. It's a very quick one between, cutting between Willow and them and Willow. And we find out that this is something that has happened every 50 years, starting with children dying and causing mass hysteria. Sort of, I think later on in the scene we find out starting in 1649. 1649 is when we find out the names of Hans and Greta. Back in Willow's, we see her mum comes in, sees each on the computer, disconnects the Ethernet cable, which I thought was class because that's how she's not disconnecting the internet. Willow tries to explain she isn't thinking straight, and this is when we see the turn in her mum.
I believe you, dear. Now all I can do is let you go with love.
Let me go? What does that mean? Mom?
Quite a little ominous scene, those sort of back and forth. Sorry, I think I did jump a little bit ahead about Hans and Gretel, which is the Hansel and Gretel thing. But the fact that they found out the name, they get the picture of the kids, and it was a priest found it out. What did you think about all these little bits right up until Willow's mum locks her in the room?
Yeah, I like it. I like that Buffy's the one that is starting to put things together. Like, I like that she continues to be like the smart one, like that is able to figure it out. I don't know if whether that's meant to be almost like a supernatural power or if it's just meant to underpin the fact that she uses common sense a lot of the times.
I think it's like she isn't caught up in the hysteria. that everyone else is. So it's like she can see the wood for the trees because she's like critical thinking, as you were saying. Like it isn't necessarily about book smarts and intelligence. It's about like the intelligence she could with all the information she has at hand. She was able to take that one thing from Angel, inspired her to the thing, which is an intelligence. And I thought it was great. I agree with you. So we get back to the library, and Giles explains that fairy tales are basically real, and well, Oz does, because Giles is hinting around it, and Oz is like, fairy tales are real. And I really like that we still have Oz being, he's usually the first to understand what Giles is saying when he's sort of in his Giles talk. And it's again highlighting and pinpointing that Oz is super duper smart.
Fairy tales are real. Hansel and Gretel, breadcrumbs, ovens, gingerbread house.
Of course.
At this point, I'm capital. Yes, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This is what I'm talking about. All about the lore. This is such a great idea, and the twist. I love this. This is when, from my opinion, it's not necessarily the personal relationships is what I love. This is when they get into the nitty gritty lore. Whenever they're like using real world stuff to make it, or like something that we're used to, like fantasies and fairy tales, to be the bad in the TV show. I lap that shit up. No. That's my favorite part of the show. When it's the mystical mystery, otherworldliness is the best parts. Giles explains a demon who feeds off the vigilantism and the hysteria is causing this. And Sandra says a great line.
I don't know about you, but I'm gonna go trade my cow in for some beans.
And Buffy goes to leave, but the wee gay dude sorry. But Michael comes in and he's been like beaten up, and he says that like the parents are taking the kids from their home and down to City Hall, and Oz immediately runs to Will. Like Oz's face here is so like he knows exactly what's happening, and he beelines straight out.
I also love that Xander joke where he says about trading his cow in for some beans, and when Giles gives him that evil look, he says, "No one else is seeing the funny in this." But then when Michael runs in, Xander says, "Officially not funny."
Oh, I didn't hear that. That's really good. He's recognizing that.
Him being able to recognize that, I thought was important. Also, the thing is that Michael was attacked by his dad and his friends, and I loved having some new side characters. Like the same with Amy's kind of return. I wish we had more likable, like peripheral characters, that could pop in here and there. Like I loved Amy's return in this episode too, because they mentioned her in the last episode, so it felt more like, okay, like this is someone they're not just pulling in there. They've established that Willow has a relationship with Amy.
Feels like a real school.
Not a relationship,
but it feels like a real school.
Yeah, definitely. I like now basically that as adults we can kind of see that the world uses fairy tales basically to simplify nuanced issues of good and evil. And I love that the demon like thrives off that energy, which is like the moral binary that like someone has to be blamed. And I thought that was great. Like the demon doesn't thrive off them being dead. He thrives off like the chaos that it creates.
Really interesting demon to have. It's like,
yeah,
and using them as children as well. The fact that the demon recognized to be two children to cause this is very, very cool. Again, fucking class episode. Really smart, but feels light. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It has so much depth to it when you start talking about it, but when you're watching it just as an episode, it's quite light. And as when we dig in, because there's some episodes that would be light and feel light and they're kind of light, but this feels like weighted.
Apparently this fairy tale twist was added quite late in production because they thought it was going to be too heavy to have the parents be like burning their kids, like, so they added this kind of like fairy tale element twist there to kind of like lighten it up a little bit, and I thought it did a really great job of that. But a lot of people, I think, I've criticized this episode for it's like the duality of the tone, but I really quite enjoy like the flip between dark
It
and
could be a little
serious.
bit ahead of its time because it feels like something that could be written closer to like the late 2010s kind of vibe, like that sort of juxtaposition of fairy tales, or actually just playing up to the fairy tale aspect of it. I thought it was really cool, like because it's obviously witches and Hansel and Gretel. Just I can't believe that was added so late on because it's such a smart way of doing it. Willow's lying in bed. We cut to Willow lying in bed, and Moo show up to take her, but her mum. But it's really interesting when she opens it. The most caring thing that her mum says to her is when she opens the door, it's like,
Yeah.
get a coat, it's cold outside, before we kill you. So we set you on fire.
I said, get your coat, witch.
Does she say that?
I
No.
love. Yeah, she said, I said, get your coat, witch. Yeah, and because she says it so like cheeky.
I said, get your coat, witch.
Willow's trying to close the door. We cut to the next scene. Buffy and Giles are in Buffy's house trying to talk to Joyce, who's sitting there in her little moo committee. Mooing. Moo. And
Or Camoody.
I live for the applause, applause, applause. I live for the applause, applause. Live for the applause, applause. Live for the way that you cheer and scream for me.
I said, get your coat, witch.
The applause, applause, applause.
sorry.
Get your coat, witch.
Give me the feeling of love. Turn the lights on. Put your hands up, make 'em turn.
Joyce knocks Buffy out.
Chloroforms the fuck out of her.
But I like that they had to make the child hold the chloroform.
With like the most printed out on like Microsoft like clip art.
Yes. Yes. Giles gets like knocked out and carried off in the funniest way. I don't know why, it really tickled me the way it was done. And before Bunny passes out, she sees that the children are talking to Joyce, who have the chloroform bottle, and they say that,
You have to kill the bad girls.
yeah, you have to kill the bad girls. Cut to the break.
But do you know that one of those kids, the boy kid, is Brie Vanderkamp's son from Desperate Housewives?
Mary's boy kid, Brie Vanderkamp's son, was born gay. After the break, Oz and Santa run into Willow's room, and we see there's a massively huge mess. So boom, we know that Willow's been taken. Cut to the city hall and see Buffy, Amy, and Willow are tied to a stake inside,
This is crazy, Mom.
and books are piled up under them, and Buffy's still passed out.
Buffy!
Buffy!
She's great. I really like her. I hope she
Yeah.
stays a rat and the keeper.
Psychic!
Then we get a nice, quick, hard cut to Giles being slapped repeatedly. Not very hard. It just looks a bit. I wish she was really welting him. It just feels very like.
My hand hurts. Things are way out of control, Giles. First the thing at school, and then my mom confiscates all of my black clothes and scented candles. I came over here to tell Buffy to stop this craziness and found you all unconscious. Again.
And I think there's a good few meta moments, like questions that dickheads like me would ask, like, how often does Giles get knocked out?
This is the 13th time.
Wow, didn't know there was a count. And then that was where we get the great line of saying you're going to wake up in a coma one day, and it really confuses Giles.
Wake up in a... Oh, never mind. We need to save Buffy from Hansel and Gretel.
Really like seeing these. We're getting a lot of like different characters interacting a
Yeah.
lot more alone, like getting Sandra Knowles together for the majority of it, and having like Amy being in the middle of like Willow and stuff. It's really cool. It's really like.
Are you yawning?
This episode just really broadens out not just the characters' depth, but also just like Sunnydale. You feel a little
Yeah.
more, you feel like it's like how there's other people just in Sunnydale and other students, and even like the bullies and stuff felt rounded and real. Earlier on, that attacked Michael at the locker. I'm just realizing now as I'm saying this that it's actually probably up there with one of my favorite episodes. I think so far.
Oh my
about
god.
This, yeah, I know it's a bit mad in saying that, but it really is.
Just so we're clear, you guys know you're nuts, right?
Kind of reminds me of like genuinely Scooby Doo because they're running down hallways trying to open doors and stuff. Buffy wakes up to creepy Joyce. This girl just does not fucking catch a break from her fucking parents. She saved the world multiple times and still not good enough. And then Joyce and Willow's ma talk about maybe we should get lunch after this. Like we should keep in touch after this is all done, as they're both holding a burning torch in their hand. And then Joyce lights them up. I thought this was great. And then this is where Amy comes into her own at this point. Amy takes this chance to change into a rat by shouting this great spell, and I actually really like the visual effects that happened here too.
You want to fry a witch? I'll give you a witch. Goddess Hecate, work thy will.
Uh-oh.
Before thee let the unclean thing crawl.
And I just thought it was a really good effect. Willow and Buffy then threatens him with magic, and then I think she says, what are you going to do, float a pencil at them? That was really, really good.
Yeah, when Willow's like, we'll turn you all into vermin. And then Buffy's like, yeah, you at the back, you'll be fish. Yeah, some of you will be fish. I just had wrote Joyce has reverted back to like season 1 level of being a bitch, but obviously that's because she's being manipulated by these dead children / demons.
It's one demon. Just the one demon.
I know.
2 children, 1 demon.
Yeah.
You stupid bitch.
Best favorite video on the internet. 2 children, 1 demon. 2 demons, 1 cup. So when Amy turns into a rat, I just absolutely love it because she just gets all so like bitchy. I love that that's why her hair's dark as well, because she's obviously just, she's like, you want a witch? I'll give you a witch. And her eyes go all black.
The black eyes were class. Was black or purple? I thought they looked purple on my screen. But they were like, and the whole like, oh no, the magic was purple. It was going around her and stuff before she turned into it. I thought it was class.
I loved it. I love that Buffy's response when she does that is like, she couldn't have done us first.
See, this is why I'm like, this didn't feel that heavy because they
Yeah.
didn't seem that scared. And I think that's a good thing because you could have made this really dark.
It was a
but
good
they-
way to offset the kind of imagery because it was heavily censored and cut in Europe, I think, because of the witchcraft, because of the burning of the witches. So yeah, Giles and Cordy are in the car.
Giles and Cody are in the car and they're making a potion. Giles is trying to remember the incantation. He's just saying these random words. And then you can see like Cordelia is like smelling certain things. Like, oh, that's disgusting. Again, I just fucking love her in all the scenes that she's in. She just, again, chews the scenery. Doesn't really, she just is so believable as that person. Giles explains that he's going to lift the veil of the children to show the true nature of and image of the demon, and they're just continuing to drive on as she's like mixing stuff in. Back at City Hall, we see Xander and Oz trying to get through locked doors, and then they hear Buffy and Willow shouting from the vent. So they have a little Die Hard moment and jump into the vent. We see Buffy and Willow nearly getting, well, they set fire to them. You can see that they're getting burnt. And we get a couple of cool shots back and forth that go wide, that go close up. So then you have the flames with the actors. But when they go to the wide shot, we can see the stunt doubles that are in there very clearly held on for a bit longer. Didn't really care.
Yeah.
I get that you're not going to have actually the 2 actors there together.
I wrote that as well. There's a lengthened shot with the stunt doubles.
I get it.
She just burnt them.
Giles arrives in City Hall and he's like trying to get through the door and can't. So pulls a pin out of Cordelia's hair.
Ow! You got hair with that. God, you really were the little youthful offender, weren't you? You must just look back on that and cringe.
He shoots her. I'm just like, fuck up, Cordelia. Buffy says to Joyce, dead people are talking to you, do the math. There's a hot guy behind Joyce with a goatee, like really hot. I'll put it in the clip here. There's just like,
I don't think
he's
you can have a
really-
hot goatee.
You can. And yeah, I love Giles ripping Cordelia's hair out. That was pretty good. Willow says, I can't take it, it's too hot. And I was like, that's funny. That's what people say about me when I take my clothes off. Oh my God.
They're back in the hall. The fire's getting worse. She sounds genuinely scared at this point. That's the
Yeah.
only time I got a little bit of Jeopardy was from, again, Alison Hannigan's acting is so fucking good. Giles finally comes in and speaks incantation and throws the potion down while Cordelia gets the fire hose and starts firing at the parents while Giles is shouting the incantation, and Buffy reminds her to put the fire out.
It was like, Cordelia, put out the fire!
Yeah, because Willow's like, Buffy, I've caught fire or something. Again, looks, it sounds really kind
Yeah.
of scared in her voice, and that's she's like, put out the fire. With the fire out, and finally the spell is broken, and then we see this absolutely massive ugly bastard with like warthog things, and I love the fact that he still says the line,
Kill the bad girls.
and then this is where the parents have like been woken up from the spell because they can obviously see that it's a big scary ugly demon, and the monster runs to Buffy, who is able to then break the stake. And I thought it was a mistake, but she actively aims the stake at the monster as it's running towards her. She kills the monster and she says,
Did I get it? Did I get it?
Did I get it? Did I get it?
and then we cut to this wide shot again with this director James Whitmore Jr. is so good that he cuts this wide shot and she's just there with the stake through the neck of the demon, and it was really quite, again, it was cartoonishly visceral. It wasn't gory, it was cartoonish, and it was kind of funny the way it was hanging, especially after the line that which she said,
Did I get it? Did I get it?
And then at this point, we get Oz and Sander crashing through the vent and explain that they're here to save the day, which I
Yeah.
actually laughed at because I was like,
Yeah.
they both look so disheveled. And like, I've really enjoyed their episode, really enjoyed their wee
Yeah.
story throughout this episode, especially from where it starts when there's like really, really awkward tension. And then they're now basically on top of each other. And I'm sure you're like,
Yeah. I thought Cordelia was kind of badass when she like smashed that glass with her elbow and
Yeah.
just like
'Cause she
took
did
the
like a
hose
ha.
out.
But
Yeah,
she
she
does
was like
this wee
quite.
like,
She was smart to do that. Like
yeah. Oh,
that was
that's
good.
what it was.
I'd
She
end up being like,
blocked her eye.
oh my elbow, my eye. I loved when Buffy shouted at Cordelia to put out the fire, and she's like, "Oh, right," because Cordelia's just like, "Yeah, you like that?" Like blasting people like with the hose.
I really love watching people getting hit by water, like in a big hose, because they
Yeah, I
tumble.
love it.
It's so fun. It's quite humorous.
It's like
Sorry.
watching UTV when it's like over the 12th, just seeing people getting blasted by the water cannons. Giles speaking German, very hot when he's like, "Into fasten, gefisten."
I really puts on the accent.
You have to, or otherwise it's stupid. But it's the same way, you know, when you're in school and you're like, "Shuma Pel Tony's, you beat a Belfast and Ireland de Nord."
Yeah, because if I go to Italy, I really commit to pronouncing it correctly. Or if I go to a different
Yeah.
country and I learn how to say something, I'm like, I try to like buongiorno, or like I try to really put the
A Big Mac, a super large.
Fuck you.
I like whenever Buffy says to the demon, "Not as convincing in that outfit," when it turns into the big mad warthog thing.
They call me Mr. Pig!
Did I get it?
I really liked that the demon still said the same line. Like I loved that writing.
It was so like innocent and cute, like trying to be like,
Yeah.
"Kill the bad girls."
I thought it was like a bit innocent and cute too. I was
Yeah.
like, what?
That takes us into the last scene, basically, where Willow is in her room.
Yes. So we're now in Willow's room with her doing magic to turn Amy back into a human. And we see kind of everything's back to normal. The adults have all forgotten what happened conveniently.
Business as usual.
Yeah, sort of. She's doing that selective memory thing your mom used to be so good at.
After the spell's done, it doesn't work. And Amy's still a rat. And the final line is kind of a little throwaway, but kind of funny, wee sweet line. I don't know. I think I really liked it. When she's like, maybe we can get her one of those wheel thingies. And it cuts
Yeah.
to the credits. And I was like, this was brilliant. I just
was-
loved this scene. It was so nice to have a little coda, a little button at the end with just
Yeah.
Willow and Buffy too, because I haven't seen them together in ages either. It's really nice. It felt like
Yeah.
back to season 2 vibes, like just all about the scoobs, all about the big adventure, all about the lore, and like great script writing, really funny jokes. Like fucking hit everything. 10 out of 10. Loved it.
I've always liked this episode, but I really, really enjoyed it, like as an adult, I think. Because I think when you're a kid and you're watching it, I remember thinking like why don't the parents just like, why doesn't Joyce trust Buffy? You know, like what we've talked about before. But then as an adult, with everything that goes on in the world, I think it was like humans are so easy to manipulate when they're scared,
Yeah.
and parents often project their fears onto their kids, which I think is so wildly relevant in 2025. The whole thing about like online conspiracies, book bans, culture wars, people believe in simplistic narratives that reduce complex issues to good versus evil, and how Sunnydale is like a microcosm of all of that. I just thought it was a really relevant episode.
I loved it. I can't just I thought that the fact that I could look at it from a 2025, why I keep saying 2024,
Because you're stuck in the past, bitch.
but yeah, I really enjoyed. I just thought everyone was on their game. Great acting from even like, do you know what it was? Like we know the cast are great, the main cast, but like the background actors or like the side characters, the guest stars is a better word to use. Amy was brilliant. And like Michael was class. Even the bullies were great. They felt new, like I've said already, felt like deep. And the parents even were frightened at times. Like
Felt deep.
Jane Espenson gets it. Like she gets
Yeah.
it. Like I know that she didn't create the TV show, but I feel like she gets how to write teenagers from a teenage perspective and how to write adults and parents from a parent perspective. Because there's some arguments that were being made by the parents that were fair. Maybe not fair, but understandable. And you could empathize with absolutely everybody that had anything to say. There was no proper good or evil, like you're saying. It was much more like the hysteria of getting caught up in the emotion and as you said, again, I'm just repeating you, the fear of the parents and then putting that onto their children and protecting your children, especially from
Yeah.
Bunny.
Big Bunny Summers.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's our episode, folks.
I think we've talked through like all the kind of themes as they kind of came along. I love just how relevant it felt to today. I love like what you said, Jane Espenson, I think writes my favorite version of these characters.
Yeah.
So it's been really fun to see her. This was her first episode where she dealt with more like deeper stuff. Or social issues. So it was nice to kind of see how that blend of comedy and humor kind of plays in together.
Yeah.
Next week's episode is we're past the halfway mark for season 3. It's called Helpless, and it is it's a great.
Helpless. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for downloading. Thank you for liking and subscribing. If you haven't liked and subscribed, just subscribe anyway. It's okay. Just subscribe. It's not going to, nothing happens. You just get a little bit more information from us. Why wouldn't you want to? You're already freaking watching it. If you're still listening, just talking, you've watched all the way to the end. Thank you so much. Or you've skipped. That's so weird.
And if you've got this far, I would definitely recommend subscribing to our Patreon because we now have a ton of content that's going to be there. We've recently had a bonus extra unfiltered episode with Leah. I've also got we've got Leah from Investigating Angel, who we sat down and talked about our top 5 Buffy and Angel episodes. We've got an interview coming with Sarah from Becoming Buffy. She's interviewing me and David, and I'm also talking to Sarah about her top 5 Buffy and Angel episodes as well. And then David and I sat down last week and talked for an hour and answered some listener questions too. So there's a ton of new stuff coming out. Will be a couple of wee bonus Christmassy things coming out too. So it's totally worth the price of £3.50 a month.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's one coffee a month.
And you can also gift it. If you have a friend that likes Buffy and you don't know what to get them for Christmas, then why don't you just gift them as like our Patreon? And we're going to be running an exclusive competition over Christmas as well, where you can win our Patreon membership for free for 12 whole months. So keep your eyes peeled on the Instagram for that.
Wow, I did not know about that.
Just made it up on the spot, but we'll be doing it.
Thanks.
But
Thanks,
yes,
everyone.
thanks for checking
We'll
us
see you
out.
next
See you
time.
later.
See
And
you
don't
next time.
forget,
Kill the bad girls.
Kill the bad girls.
it's the bad girls. Always is in my mind. Oh no, wait, that's Bad Boys.